Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Myself Priyanka Singh from Thakur Publication Pvt Ltd. Today my topic is from UP BCom second semester financial accounting subject. The chapter is royalty account, chapter number 3. I have already explained you the basic of royalty account in my previous lecture. Those who have missed it can find it in our playlist. So my today's chapter is royalty account, and my focus is on the accounting record for royalty in the book of lessee. Before I start, I would like to tell you that we have already seen these three situations in the book of landlord. The same situation exists over here also, but the entry will be different. Accounting record in the book of lessee. Who is lessee? Lessee is a person who has a right to acquire the asset. In respect of that, he has to pay the royalty amount. In the book of lessee consider landlord as a liability or the creditor. For lessee, royalty is a expense. For lessee, the short working is a expense. So, in the book of lessee, landlord, he consider landlord as a liability. He consider royalty as a expense. He consider short working as a expense. So, keeping these three things in mind, we will pass the journal entry in the book of lessee. The first situation is when the royalty is less than minimum rent. Whenever the royalty is less than minimum rent, short working generates. Now with the help of example, I will explain the first entry of due entry. Suppose the royalty amount is 6,000. The minimum rent is 10,000. So the royalty is only 6,000 and the mutual agreement between the landlord and the lessee is of 10,000 rupees. Means he has to pay minimum rent of 10,000. So what will be the short working amount? Here the short working amount is of rupees 4,000. Taking this amount into consideration, we'll pass the first entry. Whenever the royalty is due, because royalty is the expense for the lessee, short working is the expense for the lessee, so he will debit the royalty. With how much amount? With 6,000 amount he will debit the entry. Then he'll also debit the short working because it is also the expenditure for the lessee. So short working account will be debited with rupees 4,000. To landlord account, so the landlord account will be credited of rupees 10,000 because we have to pay landlord minimum rent of rupees 10,000. So this will be the first entry in the case when the royalty is due. So for payment, we will debit the landlord because we are paying him the money. How much money we will pay him? The 10,000 rupees. The minimum rent will pay it. To bank account. How much? To bank amount with 10,000 rupees. This is the payment entry. Next entry will be of closing the royalty account. In the end of the year, we will close the royalty account. We will transfer the royalty amount into the profit and loss account. So, profit and loss account debit with 6,000 rupees. Royalty is of 6,000. Royalty is of 6,000. So, we'll debit the profit and loss with rupees 6,000 to royalty account. We'll credit the royalty account with 6,000. This is the transfer entry which we will pass at the end of the year. In the examination, if the question asks that you have to prepare minimum rent account. So what you will do? Instead of passing this entry, this due entry, we'll pass the minimum rent account. We'll open the minimum rent account. So for opening the minimum rent account, the same digit we'll consider which we have considered earlier, 6,000 rupees. Minimum rent will be 10,000 rupees and the short working will be of 4,000 rupees. So instead of passing the due entry, there we have passed, we'll pass this two entry. We'll skip that entry because we have because in the examination minimum rent account has to be open. So first entry will be, we'll recognize the minimum rent with how much amount? 10,000 amount. So minimum rent account debit with 10,000 rupees to landlord account to 10,000 rupees. Now after passing this rent payable entry of minimum account, what we'll do, we'll close this minimum rent account. While closing the minimum rent account, we have to transfer this minimum rent account in royalty and short working account. So because the minimum rent account consists of two things, one is of royalty, other is of short working. See, royalty account debit of 6,000 rupees, short working account debit of rupees 4,000 rupees, and the minimum rent account will be credited with rupees 10,000. 6,000 plus 4,000 will be the 10,000. So this is the closing entry or transfer entry which will pass. We will transfer the minimum rent into royalty and short working. The only difference when in the examination minimum rent account has to be prepared is that due entry which we have passed earlier. In that first case we will not pass that. Instead of that we'll pass this due entry. So after this, the second situation is of when the royalty is more than minimum rent. Whenever the royalty is more than minimum rent, the short working amount which we are having in the previous example, we have the right to recoup that short working amount. In this case, the figure will be, royalty account will be of 12,000. Now we are getting, now the unit produced or the royalty we are getting is rupees 12,000. Minimum rent was rupees 10,000, and here the short working situation will not generate because the royalty earned is more than the minimum rent. So here the surplus generate. Surplus of rupees 2,000 will be generate in this case when the royalty is more than minimum rent. Now here first entry is of due or payable. Lessee will be paying, not yet paid, but he will be paying royalty amount of rupees 12,000 to the landlord. So royalty account debit with rupees 12,000 to landlord account rupees 12,000. It is the due entry. So this is the second situation when royalty is more than the minimum rent. Whenever the royalty is more than the minimum rent, there is a situation of surplus amount. So in this journal entry, I'll take the example of this imaginary figure. When the royalty is 16,000 earned, minimum rent will be 10,000, then the difference is the surplus amount of rupees 6,000. So first entry in this case when the royalty is more than the minimum rent will be of payable. So royalty account debit to landlord account. So royalty account will be debited with the actual royalty received, that is of 16,000. After the royalty is payable, there is a situation of recoupment because there is a surplus amount. In the previous journal entry, there was the short working of rupees 4,000, and here in this number digits we got the surplus of 6,000. So we have the opportunity to recoup rupees 4,000 which was incurred in the previous entry, because now there is a surplus of 6,000. So we will recoup the 4,000 rupees. So when making the payment to the landlord, will pass the entry landlord account debit to short working account to bank account. So short working account will be credited with the recoupment amount. How much we can recoup? 4,000 rupees, because the short working has incurred of rupees 4,000 and we have the surplus of 6,000. So we will only recover the short working amount, that is 4,000 rupees. And to bank account will credit with the minimum rent account. Minimum rent account means 10,000 rupees. So 10,000 plus 4,000 is 14,000. We will pay to the landlord rupees 14,000. So landlord account will be debited with rupees 14,000. This is the payment amount as well as recoupment of short working which was incurred in the previous journal entry. Now after passing the payment entry, we will pass transferring entry or closing entry. So for transferring the short working account, here the short working is of 4,000 rupees. In the previous example, there was a 4,000 of short working, and now there is a surplus of 6,000. We have recouped 4,000 rupees from the surplus amount. How much remaining amount is there? 6,000 minus 4,000, that is 2,000 rupees. So we will transfer that short working surplus amount into the profit and loss account, rupees 2,000. So we have transferred this amount 2,000 rupees in the profit and loss account. After that, we will close the royalty account at the end of the year. For closing the royalty account at the end of the year, we will pass profit and loss account debit to royalty account. Profit and loss account debited with the royalty amount. How much royalty we have earned? That is 16,000. This 16,000 we will transfer to the P&L account. So P&L account debit to royalty account 16,000. So this is the case of when the royalty is more than the minimum rent. After this, the third situation is of royalty is equal to minimum rent. Whenever the royalty is equal to minimum rent, means royalty is also 10,000 and minimum rent is also 10,000 rupees. So there is no difference between the royalty amount or minimum amount. So there is no question of short working or surplus arises over here. So it's the simple entry which we will be passing, that when royalty is payable, for payable or due amount, simple entry will be the royalty account debit with rupees 10,000 to landlord account rupees 10,000. Then after making the payment due amount entry, we will make the payment to the landlord. Here the landlord was credited. Now because we are making him the payment of the royalty, we will debit him. Debit with the rupees 10,000 and credit the bank account with rupees 10,000. After this, the entry will be of transferring entry. The royalty account we will transfer at the end of the year in the profit and loss account. So the amount will be the same, 10,000 rupees. P&L account will be debited and royalty account will be credited. So this is the third situation when the royalty is equal to minimum rent. So right now we have studied these three situations. One is the royalty is less than minimum, royalty is more than minimum, royalty is equal. Less than means short working, more than means surplus, surplus means we can recoup, okay, and equal, the normal entry we will pass for the equal case, means when the royalty is equal to minimum rent. After this, we will see the numerical on the journal entry passed in the book of lessee. So friends, if you want to buy this financial accounting book of Thakur Publication Pvt Ltd, you can get this book in the description box. We have given the link. So now I will start with the numerical portion. Mr. XYZ Mine Company took from Mr. D a lease of mine for a period of 25 years. XYZ Mine Company took a lease. So XYZ is a lessee. Okay. The mine was taken for the period of 25 years. The royalty per ton which was decided, royalty per ton is decided rupees 5 per ton, and the dead rent or the minimum rent or the fixed rents decided between the parties are rupees 20,000 per year, and the power of recoupment of short working was during the first 5 years of the lease. Okay, they have given 5 years, 2017 to 2021, and the output produced. Now we have been told, give journal entry in the book of XYZ. XYZ means lessee account. With the minimum rent account is maintained. Whenever the minimum rent account, they will tell that you have to maintain the minimum rent account. At that time, instead of passing the simple entry of royalty due, we have to pass 2 entry. That 2 entry we will see in the numerical how we will pass. First, after keeping these points into mind, we have to prepare the royalty schedule. So the solution starts with in the book of XYZ Mine Company Limited, means in the book of lessee, we will make royalty schedule. So first we will make the column of year, output, royalty, minimum rent, short working, surplus, short working recoup, unrecouped short working transfer to P&L account, paid to landlord. So here we will mention the years 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, which is given in the question. Then the output, ton produced. Output ton produced are, in the first 2017 we have produced 3000 ton. In the second year, means 2018, we have produced 3010 tons. In 2019 we have produced 4000 ton. Likewise in 20, 4500 ton, and 21, 5000 ton. This is the output produced in particular years. Then we have then in the question royalty amount per ton is given, that is per ton is rupees 5 ton. To get the amount of the royalty, because in the question only per ton is given, we have to multiply the output with the per ton royalty given. Means rupees 3000 will be multiplied by 5, we will get rupees 15. Then we will multiply this with 5, we will get rupees 15. Again in the second year we will multiply 3000 into 5, we will get rupees 15,000. Then in 2019 when we will multiply 4000 with 5, we will get 20,000. In 2020 we will multiply 4500 tons into rupees 5 per ton, we will get 25,500 ton. In the last year 5000 ton, when we will multiply with the 5, we get 25,000 ton. Then after writing this ton, we will write down the minimum rent, which is decided between both of them, that is rupees 20,000 each year. After writing this, now we will see in the first year how much royalty we are producing. 15,000 rupees. 15,000 is the production of the royalty. Rupees 15,000 lessee is liable to pay to the landlord, and how much decided minimum rent is 20,000. So royalty is less than minimum rent. Whenever the royalty is less than minimum rent, there is a short working of rupees 5,000. Here the 5,000 rupees difference is there, so this is the short working amount. Then in the next year, again rupees royalty of 15,000 has been produced. Minimum rent is 20,000. So the short working is of rupees 5,000. No surplus, no recoupment option is there, no transfer. Payment to the landlord will be the maximum of royalty and minimum rent. So in the first year maximum is 20,000. So we will pay to the landlord maximum 20,000 rupees. In the second year also we will pay 20,000 to the landlord. In the third year, if you can see, there is no difference between the royalty amount and the minimum rent account. Means royalty is equal to minimum rent. It is the situation of third case. So because there is no difference, there is no short working, there is no surplus, there is no recoupment option, so we cannot transfer also, and we will pay to the landlord is rupees 20,000. After this, in 2020, the royalty earned is 22,500 rupees, which is more than the decided minimum rent. How much more? It is of rupees 2,500. The surplus amount is of rupees 2,500. So in 2020, because the recoupment year is given during the first 5 years, short working is occurred in 2017, but we have get the opportunity of recoupment in the third year, because the surplus is in the year 2020. So this short working amount rupees 5,000, we can recoup rupees 2,500 in the year 2020. So then we will write over here in the recoupment column 2,500 rupees we have recouped. After that we have, in the next year also we have the option of recoupment. So because the royalty produced over here is 25,000 and the minimum rent is 20,000, so the difference is of rupees 5,000. This 5,000 is the surplus amount. We have already recouped the surplus amount of 2,500 in the year 2020. After that in 2020-21 we got 5,000 excess, means the surplus amount. From this 5,000 we have recouped 2,500 rupees. Now how much is remaining in this 5,000? That is rupees 2,500 is the remaining amount. So 2,500 plus 5,000, that is 7,500. There is short working of 7,500 and we have the surplus of rupees 5,000 only. So we will recoup only 5,000 rupees in the year 2020-21. How much is left? That is of rupees 2,500 rupees is left, which we will write down over here. Unrecouped short working transfer to P&L account, because this amount we don't have excess money to recoup, so we have to transfer it to the P&L account. And in the landlord, how much will pay? Rupees 20,000. Why 20,000? Because though the royalty earned in this year is 25,000 and the minimum rent was 20,000, there is a surplus of 5,000, but that 5,000 we have recouped in this year. So from 25, 5,000 has been recouped. Remaining amount left is only 20,000. So we will pay to the landlord is only rupees 20,000. So this is the royalty schedule. After making this schedule, you have to pass the journal entry in the book of lessee. So it will become much easy for us to pass the journal entries and put the amount in it. So how I will pass the journal entry in the book of lessee? So I will keep the amount over here, so it will be useful for you to see. In the first year 2070, first we will write journal entry, date, particular, LF column, debit rupees, credit rupees, in the book of XY Mine Company Limited, because we are passing the entry in the book of lessee, so we will write over here the name of the lessee, that is XYZ Mine Company. We will start from the first year. First year the situation is royalty is less than minimum rent. Here the royalty is less, so the royalty is less, so that's why here is short working of 5,000. But in the question they have told that we have to maintain the minimum rent account. When they have told minimum rent account, so we'll pass the first entry according to minimum rent account. We have to open the minimum rent account. So first entry will be minimum rent account debit to Mr. D. Mr. D is the landlord. He is the lessor. He is the liability. He is the creditor for the lessee, and minimum rent is the expense for the lessee. It's an expense, it's a creditor. So that's why we have passed the entry minimum to Mr. D. Minimum rent is rupees 20,000 and Mr. D also will credit with the rupees 20,000. After passing this entry, minimum rent first entry, we will transfer this minimum rent account into the royalty and short working, because the money of minimum rent we are adjusting in two form, means we are getting this minimum rent with the royalty and short working amount. So royalty account debited with rupees 15,000 and short working account debit with rupees 5,000. To minimum rent account, 15,000 plus 5,000 will be 20,000. So this minimum rent account we have transfer, this 20,000 we have transfer to royalty and short working account by passing this entry. Next what we'll do, we'll make the payment to Mr. D. For making the payment to Mr. D, we will debit Mr. D with rupees 20,000, that is with the minimum rent account, credit the bank account because money is going but money is reducing with rupees 20,000. We have made the payment to Mr. D, that is the lesser. After passing the payment entry, we will transfer the royalty amount to the profit and loss because it is the end of the year. So how much we will transfer to the royalty account, to the profit and loss account is of rupees 15,000. Royalty amount is of rupees 15,000. So profit and loss account debit with rupees 15,000 to royalty account with rupees 15,000. This is the first year entry. In the next year, again the situation is same. 15,000 is the royalty earned and minimum rent is 20,000. So it is also the case of short working of rupees 5,000. So here also, whenever the short working arises and in the question given that you have to prepare a minimum rent account, the entry will be differ. So we'll pass minimum rent account debit of rupees 20,000 to D, means lesser, of rupees 20,000. After passing this entry, we will transfer this minimum rent into royalty and short working. So the entry will be royalty account debit. How much royalty we have get in the second year? 15,000. Royalty account debit with 15,000, short working account debit of rupees 5,000 to minimum rent. Minimum rent 15 plus 5 is 20,000. After making this payment, after making the due payment, minimum rent account opening and closing the minimum rent account minimum rent, will make the payment to the lesser. So for making the payment to Mr. D account debit, how much will pay? Rupees 20,000. To bank account, Miss 20,000. Now after making the payment, we will transfer it into the profit and loss account. The royalty will be transferred into the profit and loss account. Profit and loss account debit of rupees 15,000 royalty amount to royalty account rupees 15,000. This is the second year entry. First year and second year, in both the year we have to prepare the minimum rent account because it is asked in the question, and both the situation is of when the royalty is less than minimum rent. So both the situation is of short working. Next, 2019, minimum rent and royalty earned both are equal. Royalty account debit, both the amount are same, 20,000. So royalty will be debited with rupees 20,000, credited the Mr. D account with rupees 20,000. After the due entry, will pass payment entry. Payment entry, Mr. D account debit with 20,000 to bank account 20,000. Then this royalty amount will transfer to profit and loss account. For passing the transferring the royalty account, profit and loss account debit with 20,000 to royalty account 20,000. This is the third situation where royalty is equal to minimum rent. Now in 2020 and 2021, if you can see, in both the cases there is a surplus. So we'll first pass the entry in the year 2020. In year 2020, there is a surplus of rupees 2,500. First entry will be of due entry. The due entry will be of royalty account debit to Mr. D, that is lesser. So royalty account is of rupees 22,500. So we will debit the royalty with 22,500 and credit the Mr. D with 22,500. After passing the due entry, we will pass the recoupment entry and payment entry. In this entry, how much we can recoup? See, in the table you can see it. The surplus is of only 2,500. So we have the opportunity to recoup only 2,500 rupees. So in the recoupment amount, we will put 2,500. Payment amount, we will put 20,000. Mr. D account debit, how much with the royalty amount? 22,500. This is the royalty amount. To bank account, this is the minimum rent account. To short working account, this is the amount of surplus we are recouping, that is 2,500. After this, we will transfer this royalty into the profit and loss account. So royalty we will transfer profit and loss account debit with rupees 2,500 to royalty 22,500. After this, the last year is 2021. This is also the case of surplus. Here the surplus amount is 5,000. So first entry will be surplus is of rupees 5,000 and the royalty earned is of rupees 25,000. So considering this two amount, will pass the entry. Royalty to lesser, royalty will be debited with 25,000 because royalty earned is 25,000 to Mr. D 25,000. After passing the due entry, will pass the payment entry and recoupment entry because there is a surplus amount of rupees 5,000. So Mr. D will be debited with rupees 25,000 to bank. This is the minimum rent account amount 20,000. To short working, this is the amount of money which we are recouping, that is rupees 5,000. Here after recouping 5,000, there is 2,000 because the short working is of 10,000 and we have recouped only 7,500. There is 2,500 rupees remaining which we have to transfer in the profit and loss account, which will transfer in the last year. So profit and loss account debit, first we will transfer the royalty account. The royalty is of 25,000. We have transferred this royalty account. Profit and loss account debit with 25,000 to royalty account 25,000. After this, we will transfer the remaining amount of short working which we cannot recover because we don't have the excess money. How much money is remaining? That is of 2,500. So profit and loss account debit 2,500 to short working account 2,500. So in this way the last year entry we have completed. So if you can see, the first two situation is of short working, means royalty is less than minimum rent. The 2019 year, that is the situation where the royalty is equal to minimum rent, and last 2 year 2020 and year 2021 was the year where the royalty earned is more than the minimum rent. So this is the surplus year. So in this 2 year we have recouped the short working amount. After this